Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the Ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
I love this one. I found a picture of a yard sale, but it's a little different yard sale with the sign that says in big, big letters, divorce yard sale. Come on in, hurry before the wife comes home. I love it. Good morning, everybody. Here comes Kate Smith, and God bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance on a Monday. Come on, call in. Good morning. And a good morning to you. Welcome to Zeb at the Ranch, starting off a brand new month, the month of March. And, of course, our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. And some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Right now, without anything else, we're going to have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi there, Lorna. Go ahead, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Lorna, thank you so much. I really enjoy having you call in. God bless you and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you, and you too.
All righty. Thank you much. Time for the weather forecast, and the weather brought to us by K&R Rental. Hello, Roger and the crew over at 256 South, 600 West of Hebron. Right there on the Burley Paul Highway. You can't miss them. They're a great big front yard, just chock full of all the tools and equipment you need to finish any kind of a construction project, whatever. And if you're not sure what you need, hey, not a problem. Give them a call, 678-3122, K&R Rental. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this first Monday in March, and today is going to be a nice day. We are expecting sunny skies, slightly breezy winds out of the east-northeast at about 8 miles an hour, and we're looking at a high of 37. Tonight, partly cloudy, low of 21. Tomorrow, partly to mostly sunny skies, expecting a high of 45. Clouds rolling in for tomorrow night. We do have a 50% chance of rain and or snow showers, expecting a low of 33. By Wednesday, looks like rain showers are definitely in the forecast, about a 60% chance, expecting a high of 48 and a slight breeze out there. For Thursday, 30% chance of rain showers, mostly cloudy and a high of 31. By Friday, maybe some snow in the forecast and definitely some rain, expecting a high of 45. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
And thank you very much, Gene. Appreciate it. And the wet and kind of unsettled weather continues. But I know some folks that are always there to serve you, so you can go ahead and finish up any project you've got going on, and that's K&R Rental. Yep. The truth, the rental of the best tools and equipment anywhere around. You be sure and give them a call today, 678-3122, K&R Rental on the Burley Paul Highway. You get a hold of them today. Oh, my goodness. We had a great lunch bunch last Thursday, but our numbers were down a little bit, and I was a little concerned. I hope all the folks out there that normally attend are doing okay, and it was a one-time shot. But we want to say to anybody and everybody, our lunch bunch, please please don't diminish the lunch bunch. Please be there every month. We appreciate you. Want to also, besides that, we're giving away a lot of great door prizes, too. Don't forget Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. They don't forget about doing the best job for you, let me tell you. And if you don't have time to do the washing, don't worry about it. Take it into Daryl's. What? Yes, they will wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes that you need washed, just like Mom used to do. Don't forget Daryl's Cleaners. And if you prepay your bill, they'll provide a 10% discount. You check it out at Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley today. Oh, congratulations, and I mean this, to all the teams, and I don't want to, out of memory, which is lacking sometimes, I don't want to forget any school, but to all of those that went to and competed in the state basketball tournaments, girls and boys, congratulations to all of you for making the achievements in athletics, and kudos to those that finished as state champions or runners-up or just being there. I mean, that's quite a tribute, and again, congratulations to all the great high schools. There were a lot of kids and a lot of families from this area represented at the state basketball tournament. God bless you all. Great job. I want to say also a great job to Denny's Restaurant. Oh, it was so nice over there at Denny's. Doug Martin and myself both paid tribute to our wives that were celebrating birthdays, and Denny's jumped right in and helped. We appreciate that. Denny's Restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, America's Diner. And they also have another location to serve you at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. I mean, pick up the menu and just go, wow, look at the menu choices for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, all the desserts, everything, anytime, all the time at, like I said, America's Diner, 611 North Overland in Burley, Denny's Restaurant. Caller, I'll be right there. Stand by. I also want to say a big thank you and a shout out to people that have been riding the horse with us on this program for a long time. And that's, of course, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They also get there early in the morning at 7:30 to better serve you all the way up till 5 o'clock in the afternoon, Monday through Friday, with all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs, and knowledgeable people serving you. Don't forget Ramsey Heating and Electric, 678-0459, the number to call, where they provide warm winters and cool summers. Ramsey Heating and Electric. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Speaking of basketball, I'm not going to mention which team it was, but I was told that some of the players in the NBA have now started taking a knee to the flag.
Yeah. And I find it despicable. I find it appalling. I find it demeaning, and I find it just absolutely against my grain. Let them. Go ahead. I'm going to wish them nothing but ill will and bad luck, and hopefully not make the playoffs, or if they do, to get beat. I absolutely have no use for prima donna athletes that want to exercise this kind of an option against America. They could not be playing anywhere else in the world, my dear friend, and make the kind of megabucks that they are here.
Exactly, and may their ratings drop to zero because people start tuning out the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I have nothing good to say about this issue whatsoever, and I'm not going to mamby-pamby it. I think athletes are nothing more than prima donnas that have never served in the military, most of them, especially NBA players, and they have no respect for that flag, no respect for our Constitution and patriotism, and when they start taking a knee, let them go to another country, ship them off to Italy, and watch them take at least 1/10 of their salary as what they make here in the American country, the United States of America.
Exactly. There's only one athlete that I can give props to, and that's one football player who, despite the fact that he was threatened with being crippled and all, still stood for the flag.
Yep.
Can't remember which one it was, though.
Well, I appreciate your comment this morning, caller. You're always welcome. Have a great day. Thank you so much.
You have a good one, too. you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, you want to go ahead and take a knee? Take a knee over in another country. Take a knee over in the European Basketball League. Take a knee playing for Austria. Take a knee playing for Italy. And then see how much money you're really going to make in comparison to what you're making here in the United States. It is a giveaway program for prima donna athletes, and they don't understand it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Morning. At the Burley Senior Center today, we're having hamburgers, macaroni, cheese, and yummy salad, and I don't know. They'll have some good for dessert.
Okay. All right.
$5.
And when Joe says they're going to have something good for dessert, he knows because he's there every day at the Senior Center on Overland. Thank you, Joe. God bless you, and call us tomorrow.
Thank you. I'll see you tomorrow.
All right, my friend. Thank you very much. Folks, we've got a lot of issues to talk about this morning, and I have some of the most excellent people anywhere in the United States. This is not just a local program, as you know. It's a national program. And Richard Manning's going to be on. Dr. Gerard Lamero is going to be on. Dan Perkins, one of my favorite political analysts, is going to be on at 10:06. And then we have our legislative update, sponsored by Handy Truck Lines, coming up at 10:30 this morning. And Representative Fred Wood is going to handle the reins of that program this morning. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I have a complaint to register against the Times News again. Yesterday in the paper, the Times News ran front page story using the extreme left and sleazy and very, very low-life Southern Poverty Law Center as the focal point of the story that was written by, in all fairness, a person from the Idaho Statesman, Nicole Blanchard. And the Times News felt it necessary, I guess, to rewrite and replay that story on the front page of their Sunday paper. And basically what they were saying is they were talking about a hate list of hate groups here in Idaho. And one of the groups that was listed by the Southern Poverty Law Center, and I despise those people, I really despise those people, is a group called Act for America with my dear friend Brigitte Gabriel. Now, I am going to be on a conference call with Brigitte Gabriel after this program. And the reason for the call will be to invite her to come on the program to discuss the sleazy, low-life Southern Poverty Law Center and why they would put Act for America with Brigitte Gabriel on that list of hate. Brigitte is a dear friend of mine, and I will stand up for my friends. And I will denounce others that denounce my friends. And Brigitte Gabriel lived in the Middle East, suffered in the Middle East, saw her friends and neighbors bombed and killed and shot in the Middle East. And she, above anybody else that I know, she has lived the life and walked the talk. And for her to be put on a hate list, that really offends me. And I just want you to know that we're going to have her on the air as a rebuttal, and I'm going to go after the Times News for carrying, I think, a hate story, condemning her. And they put her and her organization, Act for America, that has done so much good for America and American ideals and our Constitution, in the same group with the slovenly, absolutely hate-filled group, Pig Blood Bullets. It was just amazingly stupid putting that story on the front page of the Times News yesterday. But that's the way they roll. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. I'm telling you, they are the best. Now, I can say that with firsthand knowledge because they've worked on me many, many times. And if you're recouping from a surgery or trying to get better from an accident or whatever, let them help with all the different exercises, all the great people that work there as physical therapists. And don't forget, too, they have the only hydrotherapy pool of its kind in this area. They are great. Call them. Make an appointment at 678-1191. That number again, 678-1191. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. You get a hold of them today. Hey, by the way, March 4th, you know that it's just right around the corner. And caller, I'll be right there. Don't forget, it's time to think about irrigation. And you should have had these thoughts in your mind already. Well, get a hold of Jake and the crew over at Rain for Rent at 134 South 600 West of Paul. Absolutely, they are your Reinke Diamond dealer. Platinum Plus certified pivot techs. The industry's longest warranty. They've got it all for you for a great irrigation season at Rain for Rent. You get a hold of them today. Dedicated sales and service staff. And I talked to Jake on the phone here about a week ago, and he said, hey, send them in, man. We need to help them for their irrigation season, and we will. Rain for Rent over in Paul. The number 438-5065. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, good morning, Zeb. What you were just talking about is really hard truths. A lot of it's coming out of our colleges today.
Yeah.
Children that are coming out are just, they're trained. And I'm getting the idea that some of our colleges are actually terrorist training camps disguised.
I can't argue that because most of the professors, and this is not a misstatement on my part, most of the professors are espoused with liberal and very far left-leaning teaching and philosophies. You will be hard-pressed to find many conservatives on any college campus today.
Why can't we just go in there and clean these people out before they do so much damage to our country? There's no turning around.
Well, you know,
they are being programmed from the day they're born.
Well, you say clean them out, and I disagree with you. No, they have a right to be there. They have a right to teach. They have a right to preach their insane philosophy, which it is. But here's the caveat. So does the other side. And if we're going to have an equal balanced education system to where people can debate, they can take issues and discuss them pro and con, left and right, black and white, whatever the case might be, you have to have equal on both sides. That's what's not occurring. And it needs to in the school system. I don't want to shut anybody up because that would be a fascist way, and I don't want to act that way. We have the right of free speech, but then it has to be equal rights of free speech. I think you'll agree.
Well, the ones that want free speech, they're not doing anything.
That's right.
Today. It's like members of the Republican Party. It's like they're dead in the water.
Bunch of cowards. You know, Tony, I told you a long time ago on this program, and we've been friends for a long time. And I want you to really jump down my throat if you find me not doing this. But you know I have called many on the right cowards, which they are, because they're not standing up. They're not fighting for the ideals and the values of this country. They're not standing up for their constituents. They're just going along to get along, to sit in that comfy leather chair and get reelected.
Well, the Republican Party is so divided there. We've got a lot of good people on our side, but some of them are just laying back, and no matter what our president tries to do, he's already dead in the water.
Yeah, did you happen to watch any or all of the CPAC speech with President Trump this weekend?
Yes, I did.
Some of the language may have kind of dusted up somebody's nest, but I'll tell you what, he was blunt, he was honest. I was surprised that he could talk for over 2 hours without teleprompter and notes, and he told it like it was, and it needed to be said.
Well, he's part Teddy Roosevelt and General George Patton, and I love him for it.
That's a very good analogy. Teddy Roosevelt and George Patton. Man, I'll tell you what, you've got it ironed out there, buddy. I appreciate it. God bless you for your call.
Okay. Bye.
Thank you, Tony. He hit it right on the head. Right on the head. Trump is a cross between Teddy Roosevelt and George Patton. I love that one. Oh, my. Calls welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. Want to remind you about Ark Animal Hospital. You know, if you're going to have pets, and if you're going to have livestock, you'd better take care of them. And you better watch and be wary and knowledgeable about their health needs. And when you notice that you've got a problem, I urge you to call Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union in Heyburn. Believe me, they are a large and a small animal clinic, and they care about the health of your animals. So please remember the number, 678-1177. That number again, 678-1177. Ark Animal Hospital in Heyburn. They do have the warm hearts for the cold noses. All right, calls are welcome. Come on, give me a jingle. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Did you hear Nancy Pelosi over the weekend? I guess it was last Friday. A little news clip. She said, President Trump, do the country a favor. Don't run in 2020. You know, when you look around and you read and study what's going on, really going on in this country, and how this administration has basically brought the ship back on course for our economy, and the world respecting us instead of laughing at us, and any number of other items. I really sit there and I scratch my head listening to Nancy Pelosi say, do the country a favor and don't run in 2020. It makes you question the Democrats, and they're questioning themselves. They are a split party right now. Some are following along in lockstep, like lemmings going over a cliff, with a spoiled little white girl from New York, AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and she is threatening, this is the part I don't understand, she's threatening Democrats to go along with her, and she and Pelosi and others are saying there will be no partisan or co-partisan votes on anything with Republicans. No, just vote no. Stay with the Democratic Party. What? I've never heard of anything so filled with lunacy in my life. If it's going to better their constituents, they should vote that way, regardless of the partisan politics. Caller, good morning. You're on the air. Quickly, go ahead.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, my friend.
They're not there to represent their constituents. They're there to turn this country into a socialist or a third world country.
Wait a minute. Wheels, you got to turn them up a little bit when they're on the air. I'm having a hard time hearing them. You are 100% spot on, Doug. I have seen with the Jerry Nadlers and the Adam Schiffs, old Shifty, and the Durbins and the Pelosi's and the AOC, I am really concerned, and I mean this. I am really concerned about 2020, and I'm going to tell you why. I think that their absolute destructive verbiage is going to create enough numbers so that everybody had better realize they better get out to the polls and vote in 2020, or we could slide into the presidency, into the Oval Office, and into the Congress, a majority of these idiots that want to take over this country.
Exactly. That's exactly it. And we better get voter ID. I mean, there has been many cases of undocumented illegals, I should say. I'm sorry. I'm not politically correct.
Don't be. Never be politically correct on this country, because that is buying into the mantra of controlling speech.
Exactly. Political correctness is trying to take over free speech. The illegals that have voted in this country, and there are documentations of a lot of them, like in California where they do the ballot harvesting.
Don't get me started on that this morning.
That is the most insane thing anybody's ever done, but it is something someone will do to maintain power.
Yeah.
Because the only way they can maintain power is to lie and cheat.
Look at what's happening, though, and I've got to give away some cookies here in a minute, Doug. You understand that at the bottom of the hour. But look at what's happening right now as we speak with a multitude of Democrats that are following, like I said earlier, lemmings over a cliff. And they're condemning, damning, and want a complete revolt against the Electoral College in this country. Little by little, inch by inch, day by day, story by story, the Democrats are eroding any common sense in this country.
Yes, and why they're promoting free college.
Oh my
gosh!
gosh!
If there was more conservatives coming out of college than there were liberals, you think they'd be promoting free college?
And then to hear people like Gillibrand and Kamala Harris, and then this, I just despise this young woman, AOC, coming out and saying that, well, who cares if it's $193 trillion? Well, who cares if it's going to cost that much money? It's an investment. The country will go broke, but it's a investment.
Yes, yeah, and she graduated with a economics degree.
Yeah, yeah.
I'd ask for my money back from that college. I would.
And you know the problem is, Doug, and I got to hurry and get through this. But the problem is not Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. It's not Pelosi. It's not Kamala Harris. You know who it is? It's us. We are sitting back and absorbing like sponges, and we're not standing up and saying enough is enough.
That's exactly true. Exactly true, sir. Anyway, look, everybody, let's do what we can for our senior centers. Let's donate. Let's help them. They're struggling right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you can donate $10 a month, $5 a month, just go to your favorite senior center, talk to them, and see what you can do.
Absolutely. Doug, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Right now, I got to give away some cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox. Have you been over there to their restaurant at 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square? Oh, boy. Do they put out a plate of food. Excuse me. Excellent. And, of course, they've also got their bakery with cookies and pies and all kinds of different desserts and even beautiful wedding cakes. Wow. It's all over there at Sophie's Chatterbox on the square in Rupert. And right now, I'm going to give away a dozen cookies to Sophie's Chatterbox. If you win, call them and let them know when you're coming in to get your cookies. Here is an easy one for this morning. Name the actress. Name the actress that played Bonnie in the movie Bonnie and Clyde. That's an easy one. Name the actress that played Bonnie in the movie Bonnie and Clyde. And the first person with the right answer is going to get some delicious cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox. And if you get plain sugar cookies, without frosting, you got to share them with me. I love plain sugar cookies. All right, come on, quickly call me at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Name the actress that played Bonnie in the movie Bonnie and Clyde. And I thought for sure we'd have somebody calling on that already this morning. Give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I have just a moment, I also want to remind you about our friends over at Ag Express. And I talked to Russ, like I said, about 10 days ago. They are absolutely looking for drivers. Caller, I'll be right with you. Ag Express is looking for drivers, full and part-time positions, and they've got excellent medical and dental programs, vacations, year-round work, full and part-time positions, like I said, and they're hiring drivers, mechanics, and dispatchers. Please, I'll give you a couple of numbers. I got a whole bunch, but I'll just give you two. Call Tony or Dale at 438-5025, or in Burley, 678-4625, extension 1 for Chad. Ag Express is looking for drivers. Ag Express is looking for you. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Is it paid Dunaway?
Well, now, is that the form of a question for me to answer, or is that a definitive answer that you're going to give?
That's a definitive answer.
Who is this?
Tom Bowes.
Tom Bowes, you have now been the lucky winner of a dozen cookies from Sophie's Chatterbox, and the rules are going to stay the same. If you get sugar cookies, you got to share them with me.
Okay, will do.
All right. Congratulations. Yes, it was Faye Dunaway. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's an older movie, and I just wanted to see how many people would remember that. Faye Dunaway and Warren Beatty in Bonnie and Clyde. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. You know, the partisan hate that is being spewed by Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, this woman every day seems to make the news cycle. And now she also came out this morning, and this really infuriates me. Again, why are people letting her shoot her shotgun mouth off when she has such a BB gun brain? She is calling for more condemnation against immigration and customs enforcement. And some of her allegations border on lawsuit material against her. I mean, she's coming out and claiming that they rape their victims. They're coming out and saying that she is saying that even ICE is guilty of murder. You know, rape and murder, and she's calling for the abolishment of ICE. Those are some pretty lofty charges that, unless she can back these things up, she should be sued. She should be sued. When are we going to speak up and tell this little unknowledgeable girl from New York to go to the back of the bus? And, oh, and by the way, in a related subject that would have a lot of to do with ICE here in this country, and they already in New York have proven their worth in arresting a lot of the MS-13 gang members that have infiltrated Long Island and up in Queens, New York, and over in the Brooklyn area. Well, now in El Salvador, did you hear this story? That in El Salvador, the MS-13 gang has literally chased the police out of existence. This gang, MS-13, so strong, so vile, so evil, so dangerous, that the police are just throwing their hands up in the air and leaving, running, going away. Do you want that here in America? Well, evidently, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez does. She's demanding the abolishment of ICE. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Come on, give me a call. I want to hear what your thoughts are. Don't forget Barry Equipment and Rental, Sales, Service, and Parts. And they have 3 locations serving you. 159 West Highway 30 in Burley with Juan. He was on the air with us last week. There is a great young man. Love his attitude and personality. And they have another location at 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin with Eli, and the Nampa location serving you, Barry Equipment and Rental. And don't forget, everything right now at the Burley location is 0% interest up to 48 months. Holy moly, that's what Juan told us last week. You better stop in. The best of retail equipment sales and equipment rentals at Barry Equipment and Rental. Burley, Twin Falls, and Nampa. You stop in and see these great folks today. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Give me a call. You know, it's because we aren't speaking out, you and I and everybody else, in a voice of condemnation about the evil that's going on in our country. The evil is winning. I was listening to a couple of Democrats the other day on CNN. And it just blew me away when they were talking about you and me and others that were raised in an atmosphere of believing the Bible and what the Bible says. Caller, stand by. I'll be right with you, I promise. But they were running us down and condemning us because we would not evolve. That's the word that they kept using. We're not evolving into accepting the modern parlance of what they want and demand in politics and the way we live. We're not evolving. I wrote a blog about this last weekend on my blog about not evolving. I will never evolve. I'm not going to accept their filth and their sleaze. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, I'm just calling again, Zeb. One picture is worth 1,000 words. I think that this is a little bit extreme, but any cities that Pelosi or Schumer or Durbin and the rest of them have property in should be declared sanctuary cities. That's how bad things are getting.
Yeah, I'm going to be having some more folks on, not this week, but next week. We're going to do a complete study on sanctuary cities, and I've got about 3 or 4 guests that are going to be coming on talking about this and how, the lunacy, the absolute lunacy of sanctuary cities, what they're doing, what they're allowing, the criminal aspect, and why are we putting up with this garbage is beyond me.
Well, you know, these politicians think they're above the damage that these people are doing, but they don't realize that if enough of our cities are overrun with these people, their lives are going to be in danger.
Yeah. Tony, from your standpoint, real quickly, give me a summation on this. When you hear the term sanctuary cities, what does it mean, or what does it make you feel? I mean, tell me your thoughts on that.
Oh, I see welfare. I see MS-13 taking over, and I see at a point that these terrorist training camps we got in this country, they're going to start unloading their people in our cities.
Yeah, I see it the same way, similar to you. I see it as nothing more but, in my mind's eye, of kind of a compound where evil is prevalent, evil is prevailing, and those that live within that side of evil are going to be absolute targets for the bad people in that area.
Well, the city I came from back east has been overrun, so I'm talking from experience.
Absolutely. I appreciate your call back. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate it. God bless you, man. Thanks.
You're welcome, Zeb. Bye.
Yeah, the absolute idiocy of what's going on in this country, but we're not speaking out. I had a good talk with a guy this weekend. We were talking about the same thing, about people need to get off the fence, or for that matter, if they're not on the fence, they need to get up out of the chair and speak out and be very vocal about what's happening in their communities. Be very vocal about what's happening in their states. Be very vocal about what's happening on a national level. It's surprising to me that we have these kinds of problems. We shouldn't be. I'm going to just say that on this program, I'm hoping and praying that all of us can make this great country, America, great again. We got a lot of potholes in the road, and they need to be fixed and repaired. And that's why I'm an advocate of the slogan, Make America Great Again, and it's going to stay right here on this program. You don't like it? Well, I don't know what you can do, except maybe just don't listen or sit down and absorb and think about it. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Mr. Bell. You know, I'd like to be in a room with this OAC or whatever her name is, and give her a lesson in economics and common sense.
When you say common sense, let's be more definitive. What issues does she show a complete lack of common sense on? And I know we've only got a short time, so make your list short.
Okay, just about every time she opens her mouth.
Yeah. I mean, let me ask you a question. Donna. Wait a minute. Whoa, stop. You and I are in the same age bracket, pretty close. And how would you like it if you were a Democratic congressman or senator and all of a sudden you were being threatened to be on a list that was going to be looked at, and they were going to try to sabotage your reelection because you didn't vote or go along in lockstep with the rest of them, thanks to this young little girl, Cortez.
Well, there again, my personality would say, bring it on, bucko.
I knew that was coming.
You know, I just think, you know, and the people that are backing her and the ones that are following her all need to go back to school. You know, this country was founded on freedom of speech, freedom to defend your family, your property, your life, and the pursuit of happiness.
Well, basic freedoms in general. And you're 100% right. We need to go back to school, and we really need to study the Constitution, understand the Constitution, have civics lessons and tests that are going to test you as to whether you're a qualified American or not.
Right. And, you know, as far as, you know, go back to school and just study American history, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, and then come talk to me about what you want to do.
You know, right there, and I got to do a weather forecast, and I got another call waiting. Caller, don't go away. But I think you will agree with me. It may sound to some too harsh, but I'm saying that no one should run for public office unless they can sit down and take a bona fide test about our Constitution and other values of our government.
Oh, I'm right there with you. You know, they've implemented that along with flag education back into the school. Now, before they can graduate, they have to take a Constitution test.
And I think the same should be said for our politicians. I would make a bet with you. I would make a bet that if across the board, on a national scale, of the congressmen and the senators, if you put together a test for them, I would tell you that they have to have a 70% rate to pass. I would say that you'd be lucky to get 50%.
I was going to say 25.
Okay. I got to run. I got to do a weather forecast. Donna, God bless you. Thank you.
You bet.
All right. Caller number 2, don't go away. I need to get you on the air. I just got to get this weather on. Give me 60 seconds. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. And they are right behind the Minidoka Hospital across from the emergency room. And the number to call for a hearing screening is 312-0957. There are a lot of factors that can contribute to hearing loss. It might be some problem with your heart. It might be regarding your weight. It could be any number of things. Please let them help you, and they will, at Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, 312-0957. Caller, good morning. Wait a minute. Weather forecast with Gina, and then the caller. Go ahead.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this first Monday in March, and today is going to be a nice day. We are expecting sunny skies, slightly breezy winds out of the east-northeast at about 8 miles an hour, and we're looking at a high of 37. Tonight, partly cloudy, low of 21. Tomorrow, partly to mostly sunny skies, expecting a high of 45. Clouds rolling in for tomorrow night. We do have a 50% chance of rain and or snow showers, expecting a low of 33. By Wednesday, looks like rain showers are definitely in the forecast, about a 60% chance, expecting a high of 48 and a slight breeze out there. For Thursday, 30% chance of rain showers, mostly cloudy and a high of 31. By Friday, maybe some snow in the forecast and definitely some rain, expecting a high of 45. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Rain.
Oh, my goodness. I don't want any more snow. Thank you for sponsoring our weather, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Excellent people, professional people that understand hearing problems. Call them today for a hearing screening, 312-0957, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Caller, you have been so patient. Thank you. Go.
Good morning, Zebedee.
Yes, sir.
We're talking about this Cortez girl. Let's go back to last week. She wants to get rid of the farting cows, and I'm just wondering which pasture she's going to be in.
You know, you can look at this story and you can laugh at it, you can make jest of it, but it's extremely dangerous. Our agricultural programs are not being respected. If they were respected, nincompoops like Ocasio-Cortez and others wouldn't come out with green deals that are going to eliminate all kinds of energy to produce our food, produce our crops, etc. And then to say that they're going to go after the cattle industry and make cows obsolete in their terminology, it just shows the imbecilic attitude that they're talking about. But the unfortunate thing is, Bob, there are many people that are not very smart that are following that kind of verbiage.
I think they are way out in left field. Fact is, I think they fell off of the cliff out in left field and bumped their heads.
Well, I can't argue that because I'm in total agreement with you, but if we don't do anything or speak out, their voices are going to be the only voices heard, so we've got to keep condemning them.
Yeah, and I never hear or read anything about our Idaho congressional people saying anything in rebuttal or anything. They're just sitting back there on their butts collecting their money, and that's it.
Well, I'll tell you what, don't get me started on that, my dear friend, because and you can't argue with me on this situation. I try to get them on as often as I can, and they're like a dog chasing a parked car. They just absolutely don't seem to understand the value of talking to their constituents.
Yeah. Do what you're doing and keep doing a good job of it, and we'll talk to you later.
All right, Bob. Thank you very much. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Yes, Zeb. There's something that totally astonishes me about this whole situation. People do not understand that they're being used and played. These followers of these people, Cortez and such, do they honestly understand that after the Democrats or the socialists get their way, that they are just going to be thrown asunder? They will not be taken care of. They will not be get everything that they're being told they'll get, because there's just not enough. The rich communist leaders will get richer. The followers who put them there will get poorer, or concentration camps, or starve to death. You got 3 choices. What do you want out of the situation?
Well, Riley, what you're saying is something I've been saying on this program for a long time, is that for Ocasio-Cortez or Dick Durbin or Pelosi or Kamala Harris or whatever to spout off all their evil facts that they want to twist in their own favor, I think we ought to confront them. I think they should be confronted. I think we should make a meeting and invite Ocasio-Cortez. We should have meetings and invite the left, like Kamala Harris and Kirsten Gillibrand and the others. Okay, or especially Adam Schiff of the Democratic Party that keeps saying all the time, as he has for the last 18 months, we have all the evidence against Trump. Where's the evidence? What is it? If you're going to make an accusation, sit there in your little chair with your mousy-eyed look and tell us what the evidence is.
I agree with you. They don't have anything. But for people to say, well, we want to get rid of cattle. Yeah, we'll go along with that. We want green this, green that, green everything. We want socialism. We want. What happens when you get everything you want and there's nothing else to get?
You got it, buddy.
In the long run, the leaders, the people that they vote for to put in charge, are they be the ones who's going to kill them. It's not going to be the ones who's actually after freedom. It's going to be the ones who want to take away the right for firearms, the right of health, the right of decisions, the right of money. And the rest of us will die.
Amen. Riley, thank you for your call this morning. Thank you.
Have a good day.
All right, sir. All right. And it all goes back to a 7-letter word. 7-letter word. Control. Control. I want to remind you about our major sponsor. And when I talk about these folks, I'll tell you, I know all of them. And they're excellent, excellent people serving you. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. They're having what they call a great big spring tire sale. And believe me, you can save up to $200 off a set of 4 tires, depending on the tire size and the type, while the supplies last. Well, I'm talking tires like the Eclipse, the Ultra Z900, the Open Country HT, the Open Country AT2. All of these tires for your cars, pickups, SUVs. What are you waiting for? Today is the day to save money and drive safely with the best of tires from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. With Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Caller, I've got exactly 45 seconds. Go fast.
All righty. I think we need to start a campaign on a search and rescue for our representatives and our senators.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put out the word that we need to try to find them, know where they're at, if they're lost or if they've been stranded on a desert island somewhere and they can't get a hold of their...
Well, I tell you what, I've got to hurry, but I want to just say this. Let's you and I put together a committee, and we'll call all the milk processing companies that make the milk cartons. We'll put their pictures on them.
That would be a great idea. I'll help with that.
Thanks, Doug. Talk to you later.
God bless.
Got to run to the news right now from CBS. They'll come in and mess up everything that we've talked about. We'll be back with Richard Manning right after this. Stay tuned. Oh, my goodness sakes, let's get right into it, shall we? On a Monday, March 4th, Zeb at the Ranch, hour number 2, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations having a big spring tire sale right now. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Without further ado, let's have this good word for Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal.
Western Waste Services, and they've got the Go Minis, you know, the portable storage units. Oh, my goodness, you can store all your excess right there on your place, or load up those Go Minis and call Western Waste, and they'll store it on their property and lock it up. Don't forget, check it out today at Western Waste Services. Always at your disposal. The number to call, 734-6969, Western Waste Services. Well, we have just a moment, too. I want to remind you about our dear friends over at Hanson Mortuary, and Joel Heward, his family, and his staff, always serving you and your family with the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. When there's the passing of a loved one, please, I urge you to have this number available to call them. Let them help. They will at 436-5636. That number again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary, located at 710 6th Street in Rupert. And I also urge you to get all the pre-planning on funerals and get this information to help alleviate a lot of the stress and worry for our families. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert, and Joel Heward also serving you at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. Well, in just a moment, we're going to have one of my very favorite guests on the phone with us, but I got to tell you, too, about another great advertiser on our program, and that's Dino Septic Service. They do a job that you and I don't want to do. We don't want to be standing out there pumping out a septic tank or the liquid waste removal or cleaning out sewer and sink drain lines. No, they do it with a smile on their face. They are a great big company and even have recently expanded to better serve more people in this area. Dino Septic Service. Absolutely call them today at 436-6526 or in Burley, 678-1638. Fast, fare, friendly service with the big truck that says, smells cargo on the way. Dino Septic Service. I look forward to Mondays because this man is always going to be a straight shooter. If he doesn't agree with me, he's going to tell me, and I like that. And he's really straightforward on every issue in politics. And that's, of course, Richard Manning, President of Americans for Limited Government. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Zeb. I'm doing well. How are you?
Well, I want to start things off on somewhat of a higher level, and then we'll deteriorate from that point on.
Okay.
I want to talk to you a little bit.
Before we go low.
Absolutely. I was really happy, and I was really pleasured by the fact that Donald Trump got to the podium at the CPAC and told everybody exactly what it is, how it is, and what it's going to be. I thought it was a great speech for 2 hours.
Well, it's. I have to tell you. Can I confess something to you and your audience? And don't tell anybody. But I promised my wife I'd take her to a concert on Saturday.
Uh-huh.
So while I spent Thursday and Friday at CPAC and part of Wednesday at CPAC, I actually did not go on Saturday and see the speech. So I'm a little embarrassed by that. So I did, in fact, see large portions of it, however. And and what I can tell you is that Donald Trump is probably for all the things that people say about Donald Trump in terms of his always trying to attack his veracity. He's probably the most honest guy in politics, and because he just says what he thinks and let the chips fall where they may. And as somebody who's worked on staff and has worked in campaigns and run campaigns, I will tell you the single most the scariest moment for anybody who is trying to do communications for any elected official or candidate is when they kind of put the notes aside and start talking. Because, you know, as a political professional, we try to script people into safe zones, and Donald Trump doesn't really believe in safe spaces. So it's but truth be told, that's why he got elected, and that's why he'll get reelected.
I thought that was a very honest dissertation on what you did and didn't do this weekend. And I'll tell you what, the only reason I sat and listened to it is because I really wanted to hear if he would address the various issues and problems and talk about them in its entirety. 2 hours plus of going through our energy program, going through the North Korean and other problems. I thought he laid all the cards, 52 cards in the deck, face up on the table and said, okay, go ahead and pick a hand. I'll pick a hand, and I'll still beat you. I liked his attitude.
And for those who don't think he's got a grasp on what's going on, it must have been an eye-opener. You know, I just, you know, one of the growth in terms of the president over the last 2 years has been enormous, and I don't think the Democrats actually realize they're still operating off of a meme from 2015, and I don't think they realize that the Donald Trump of today is not the Donald Trump from when he was elected, and yet he's remaining absolutely true to the vision that he set out of a dominant America, of making America, putting America first, and in doing so, really reorganizing the world. And taking the resources that we have and using them to make us great.
Yeah,
he had some. It just I can't overemphasize a simple point, and that is the president has some extraordinarily good news to tell people, and a vast majority of people are not hearing it because they're getting their news through the media. Where 93% of what they cover is negative. You know, this Wednesday they got their news through All About Night Michael Cohen with 1,000 minutes, and on some stations, you know, talking about Michael Cohen in less than 2 minutes talking about anything else. So you're looking at about North Korea in particular. So you're looking at editorial decisions on news by media across the country that's designed to make it so you don't hear the good news coming out of Washington, D.C. Yet Donald Trump has got a complete grasp of what's going on. We are energy dominant. We are a net exporter of energy, and it's expanding dramatically. We're probably saving Western Europe by ending their reliance upon Russian energy, Russian natural gas, since Western Europe decided to commit energy suicide by eliminating coal out of their electricity grid mix. And we're coming to their rescue through liquefied natural gas that we're exporting, largely because of the shale revolution. So, this is a president who is changing the dynamics in the world and shifting paradigms that have existed since World War II, and he's shifting them dramatically and rapidly. And ironically, it's the conservatives, the ones who are supposed to want to say everything to stay the same, who are leading the charge towards change. And it's the left that wants a static state, because the static state was one that was ever growing, was ever more powerful, and was ever more dangerous to freedom. So it's contrary to everything anybody ever learned in any political science or civics class. Conservatives are for change because the status quo is a failure, and the liberals, the socialists, are for the status quo, because it's their status quo that we're just sort of slumping towards a totalitarian state. That's the difference in terms of the how everything's been turned upside down by this president.
Richard, you talked about energy briefly in the last little bit, and I want to elaborate on that a little bit. Right now, everybody that I've talked to that is in business, everybody that I've talked to that is involved in farming and agriculture is absolutely gung-ho behind this administration and our energy program and exploration of fossil fuels to make this country great and stronger again. However, on the other side of the coin, you have the Ocasio-Cortezes and other lemmings that are going to follow her over a cliff, and we're seeing a firm affirmation of the Green New Deal. I mean, the twixt and tween have got to have a battle someplace in the future, and it better be soon, so that this country can continue to thrive. If the Democrats are allowed to try to further this new green energy deal, it's going to kill us.
Now, this 2020 election, is that battle. It is that battle very directly. I had the opportunity at CPAC to be on, I was probably interviewed in 30 different stations, hitting about 1,500, 2,000 outlets, along with some TV. And the number one topic was the Green New Deal. Last Wednesday, I had the opportunity to participate with the House Western Caucus in a hearing about the Green New Deal. And I will tell your listeners exactly what I told them. Socialism is scarcity. Socialism is scarcity. It means doing less, having less. It is essentially the mandate for empty shelves. And in order for socialism to work, they have to take control and destroy the energy markets. They have to destroy the United States' dramatic advantage over the rest of the world in energy production. And particularly if we are able to put together a consortium which includes let's hope for a free Venezuela, Mexico, the United States, and Canada, we will be beyond energy dominant. We will have OPEC beyond OPEC level of oil and natural gas, just within our own confines of those four countries. And so that's a vision for a future that is completely and totally different than the one that the socialists, the Ocasio-Cortezes, as I call it, the Che-OC, Che-OC would have us believe in. Che-OC would believe in absolutely no internal combustion engine, no airline flights. The government would tell you what could go on your table, on your dinner table, because you just can't eat beef, because after all, there's flatulence. So they would tell us what we'd have to have on our dinner table. They would tell us how much could be on our dinner table. They would determine every aspect of our lives, and freedom would be a thing of the past. For the America would be a thing of the past as we know it, because the idea of state and local control would be obliterated by a all-powerful, all-knowing federal government, and not the elected officials. No, it'd be the bureaucrats that'd be telling us what was what. So that is essentially the future that the Green New Deal people envision, and they made a mistake of telling us that. And because they bared their teeth, Zeb, we now know what it is. There's no more lying. We're going to have a fight. As a fight we're going to win because America rejects that. America might get tricked with some of the goodies, the little ornaments on the tree, but ultimately they reject what the overall tree. And we have an opportunity where the root of that tree has been exposed, and we've been given axes. And it's our job to start swinging those axes as hard as we can at that root, and let's cut this thing and kill it forever.
You know, everything you said, I'm going to put in a bottle and I'm going to start shipping out to all my so-called Democratic friends. However, there is another problem in the mix, and it's the younger generation led by very liberal school teachers that are enhancing the minds towards this Green New Deal. And when you see young children that are starting to file lawsuits against the government for solar and wind power energy only, it takes one back a step because the younger generation has got to change their mindset.
Well, first of all, young children are just being manipulated. So that's first of all, and that. But I will tell you that there are polls that show that the term socialism itself has become acceptable. Here's what those polls don't show you, is because I've seen polling that then punches down deeper than that and actually explains what it is and what happens. And once people become aware, those same young people, same millennials and the generation after the millennials, as they learn what actually socialism means in terms of their personal choices, in terms of what they are going to have to, the cost of socialism. I'm not talking monetary, I'm talking personal. They reject it just at the same levels as older people do. The fact is, and I use this term without, there's no prejudice here, but people are ignorant. And when people are ignorant, they are open to being informed. So we have an educational task ahead of us. We have to be smart. And most importantly, what we need to do is we need to not, now everyone wants to talk about how much the cost of energy is and how much the cost of socialism. Well, here's the thing. There's an estimate that the cost of socialism was not this Green New Deal is $93 trillion. That's with a T. And you know what, Zeb? That was such a significant underestimate that it's beyond belief, because the cost of this is everything. It is every bit of freedom that we have. And so when we start explaining about, gee whiz, the federal government's going to decide what you eat for dinner. They're going to decide how much you get. You go off and you work, you spend 10 years to become a doctor, and they're going to say, well, you get the same amount of money as somebody who didn't go to school and is going and doing, digging a ditch. And because that's socialism. What we know about socialism is it is designed to fail and it is counter to human nature. But we have to make people aware that the cost of socialism is their basic freedoms, and when people start seeing that that's one of their costs, they're not willing to do it. And the single driver, you look at JOC, and she lives in a luxury apartment in D.C. She drives around in a 18 mile per gallon SUV that takes her from 3 blocks from her house to her work. She's the exact example of somebody who has this great idea, is supposedly concerned about the environment, for everything collapsing in 12 years, but on her personal life, no. She's going to eat her hamburgers and she's going to do all the stuff that she says doesn't want the rest of us to do. So once they see the actual teeth bared of socialism and what it means, and the hypocrisy of those who push it, those same millennials reject it.
I've only got about 5 minutes left, and I want you to comment on this next issue. You used the word a little bit earlier, ignorant, and I will pick up that word and move it into the next story about the Democrats like Jerry Nadler from New Jersey, Adam Schiff, California, etc., that absolutely are standing in front of TV cameras and saying, well, we have all the evidence in the world. Why, we've got complete concrete evidence about this, that, and everything about Trump. Where is it? Let's put these people on the spot. Let's point our finger into their chest and say, I want to know it. I want to know it now. What is it? Or go in the corner and be quiet. The Democrats will not let this thing lay.
Well, there's a difference between ignorant and evil, and I would put those two in the latter category. They know that they have nothing. Let's face it. We saw Michael Cohen basically get up. Let's be clear, and everybody needs to think about this. Michael Cohen was intimately involved in the president's business dealings for 10, 12 years, for quite a while. And so he knew everything that was going on in the president's business dealings. Now you would expect that if you were able to get into the records of a businessman and had every single thing that was, all the emails, every single transaction, any kind of letter, any kind of communication, any kind of private communication back and forth, that all got bared in a public hearing for 6-7 hours on Wednesday. And you know what they came up with? Well, Michael Cohen claimed that he might have said something to him while driving through a neighborhood that might be considered to be offensive. Okay? They didn't come up with, they don't have mounds and mounds of paper saying Donald Trump directed this negative deal here, this deal here, or did this. They don't have any of that. And it is the most incredible thing in the world is that this president, who actually was able to build buildings in New York and New Jersey and around the world, somehow it appears to have conducted his businesses completely within the scope of the law, with absolutely they have nothing. And if they did have something, Michael Cohen would have said it. What's more, Michael Cohen on Russian collusion said 3 things that matter. Number 1, he said that the president he was not in Prague, which means the Steele dossier is a falsehood. Mm-hmm. And so he says he's not in Prague. 2, he said that he gave timeline for Donald Trump trying to get Wikipedia information from Roger Stone, who then supposedly went to Assange to try to get it. Well, here's the key to that. The timeline was after even I knew about the Wikipedia having this stuff. So if there was any kind of collusion with Russia, you would think the Russians would have given it to him, wouldn't you? Well, no. Instead, he's trying to find out, like every single other political operative in the entire United States was trying to get that information. So he was basically on the level playing field with everybody else. The third piece of it was that Michael Cohen said that he wasn't aware of any collusion. So the collusion issue is gone. It's over. It's completely, they can't talk about it anymore because it's a fraud. And they know the Mueller report's going to come out and it's going to basically say we got nothing. So so now they have to turn the tables. We're going to talk about Stormy Daniels and we're going to talk about everything else. Here's the bottom line, and I know you don't have much time. Bottom line is the Democrats ran on one thing. They can't run on the economy. They can't run on prosperity. They can't run on anything but, and they certainly can't run on we're going to kill babies on the table. And so what they ran on was Donald Trump. We're going to impeach Donald Trump. It doesn't matter. It's a political impeachment. It doesn't matter why. They're just going to find some reason to try to impeach Donald Trump because it's the only thing they've got. And there's a billionaire investor who's been putting a lot of money in their campaigns who's demanding it. And so this is a continuation of the deep state coup that we've seen for 3 years. And these Democrats are playing their role, and they are nothing more than evil shills.
Wow. Excellent dissertation, my dear friend. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, he hit it on a 3-2 count. He hit it out of the park. President of Americans for Limited Government, Richard Manning. God bless you, my friend, and we'll talk to you next Monday.
Thank you, Zeb. Take care, buddy.
All right. Thank you very much. I absolutely look forward to Mondays, to having him be a part of the program. Richard Manning, straight shooter, and appreciate all of his comments. Okay, got to pay some bills here real quick, and I want to remind everybody about Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Whoo, boy, I'll tell you, they're located at 459 Overland in Burley. Are you having a hard time trying to get to sleep at night and stay at sleep, and you're rolling and tossing and turning, and maybe you need a new mattress, or maybe you need a whole complete new bedroom set? Well, I'll tell you what, they've got it all at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Maybe you're sitting in the living room going, oh, I can't get comfortable in this chair. It's ugly. It's just not me. me? Well, stop in and check out a chair, a recliner that's just for you. They've got all the recliners to fit anybody. There you go. Stop in today. Lee's Furniture, Floors, and more. 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. I know somebody else you need to stop in and see. They're getting all ready for spring. And that's Let's Ride. Oh, boy, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, the four-wheelers. Have you got a four-wheeler? Well, you do? Okay. Then you better get it serviced right now and get it ready for spring and summer. Yep, now's the time to get a hold of their service department. And don't forget, if you haven't got a four-wheeler, check out all the great four-wheelers on display over there in the showroom. I don't know how they got everything in there. They're located at 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Let's Ride. Open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6. Saturdays, 9 to 4 at Let's Ride. This is where the fun is sold. Really good people. When I say really good people, I feel blessed that I have the acquaintance of this next gentleman that's coming on our program, and he is a very straight shooter. And he's written books that are fantastic books, Great News for America, More Great News for America. And I'm talking about my friend, Dr. Gerard Lamero. Good morning, sir. How are you?
I am doing great. It's great to be back with you. I hope you had a wonderful vacation. And everybody is anxious to hear you again a lot, I'm sure.
Dr. Lamero, I want to start this program off, and I don't mean to sound negative, but there's a twist to what I'm saying. But have we as Americans, when we listen to the garbage and the absolute filth and vile that's being spread by the left regarding the president, regarding LGBT rights, regarding our economy and everything else, have we lost our minds that we can't sit back and say, wait a minute, we're living in a lot better times now than we were 5, 6, 7 years ago. Maybe things aren't as bad as the left is saying. I mean, literally, have we lost our minds?
No, we haven't. But there are quite a few people on the other side that don't seem to understand what's going on and dream of becoming another Venezuela and a socialist country. So there are some people who are really off the deep end, but that's not even close to a majority of Americans.
When you say things like this, I guess I'm going to go to the bottom line, education. Now, you've been involved in education all your life, and your excellent books, etc., but I'm very concerned about a consolidated mass of media, I'm going to call it a cancerous mass, that only wants to put out the hate, the vile, the negative about this situation with this current administration. And they, the media, are controlling the minds of these people, and I'm very concerned about that control leading up to 2020.
Well, I think that concern is well placed, but I also think the American people will take care of the problem. We have a free market, and if you look at a lot of the mainstream media who are a bunch of socialists, let's face it and be honest and call a spade, they're socialists, some of them are communists, and they're certainly anti-American, anti-Constitution, and that the American people have been making their decision on the mainstream media for years now. That's why their business models are hurting. That's why they keep laying off editors. They keep laying off reporters. They have to close offices. I mean, the American people are using the free market to vote for those media sources they like. They love talk radio. They love listening to people like yourself. They love listening to certain media magazines that are more conservative. And while there are some people that still read the leftist trash, in general, they're on the way down.
You know, I'm so glad to hear you say things like that, because I wanted to have you on to create more of a aura of positivity in what's going on in our country. But I want to talk to you about a woman, that 29-year-old little girl, that all of a sudden has taken politics under her arm, and she stated herself a week ago that she is the boss, and everything the Democratic Party goes through her. She's leading, like I said earlier this morning, the rest of the Democrats that are easily led by the nose right over a cliff. What are your thoughts?
Well, you know what was called out this morning by, I guess, a co-founder of Greenpeace, which is an environmental group. He said she's pompous. I mean, this girl doesn't seem to be very educated on anything that she talks about, and yet she talks with such great authority, like she knows all the answers, and she's in charge, and she's the boss, as she said. I heard her say that. And it's utterly ridiculous. I mean, the Greenpeace founder, who's obviously somebody who came out of a left environment, is even calling her out to lunch, because he's saying that if her plan were to come to place, millions of people would be without food around the world. She wants to get rid of all fossil fuels. How do you heat homes? How do you get food to the market? This particular person, who was known as a leftist for a long time, he's calling out AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and saying she doesn't know what she's talking about. She's going to have people starving to death. We're not going to be able to get food to market. So I think all of this is going to be rejected. The wonderful thing about all of this is she's doing such a great job promoting socialism, everybody's going to totally reject it that even support it today, because a lot of people who wanted to lean toward her direction are saying, this is crazy talk. This can't be done. So by being honest that they are fanatics, guess what? The American people who are on the fence are saying, these people are nuts. Let's get rid of them. Let's never vote for them again.
You know, I hope that all comes to fruition and we cast aside these people from politics and possible leading of our government. But, you know, let's talk about energy for a few moments. I mean, when people, us, the American public, listen to figures that are thrown out of, well, it's only going to cost $93 trillion. And if you break that down, it's going to be $600,000 per household to implement a green energy program. You would think the American public would be laughing themselves silly, but many are going along with this idiocy.
Well, some of them are, but when they get any kind of reality in their face, they start dropping it. People don't know what $93 trillion is because most people don't deal with money anywhere near that large. But when they start finding out that you're going to have medical shortages, you're going to have transportation shortages, you're going to have food shortages. You know the big letter S in socialism, you know what it stands for? It stands for shortage. Because anywhere where you have socialism replacing a free market of free individuals, you have shortages because people don't work for nothing. They are not going to go out, get up every morning early, work hard, kill themselves, if they don't get anything at the end of the day. And these people, when they find out that socialism is synonymous with shortages, they realize they won't want any part of it.
Dr. Lamero, let me ask you this question regarding us in the media, you and I and others of conservative ilks. Are we at fault, in your opinion, for even mentioning the Ocasio-Cortezes or the Kirsten Gillibrands or the others on the left like Kamala Harris and etc.? Are we at fault for even highlighting what they say and giving them any credence whatsoever? Should we just let them fade away?
Well, I'll tell you, I haven't given them any credence. I talk about them all the time and how stupid socialism is. You can also use the letter S for another thing, stupid. It's a stupid idea, it's stupid ideology, and it only creates shortages, as I said before. No, I do not think we're wrong to call them out. I think that's what the battle of ideas is. People come out with their opinions. They want to have, eliminate all airplanes, eliminate all cows. I mean, is this ridiculous or what? I think it's our duty to tell the American people, wake up, don't elect these people. You're going to ruin our economy. You're going to be starving.
What were your thoughts when you watched Dianne Feinstein leave her office the other day to address a group of school children? I estimate that they were probably in 5th and 6th grade, along with a very liberal set of teachers that were standing there. And these kids are saying, well, you better go along with us on this green energy program or we're going to create lawsuits and sue you and everybody else. Wow. Is this our education system today?
Yes. There's a lot of it around there. There are a lot of teachers like that. There are a lot of administrators like that. And they're not just in K through 12. There are a lot of them at the university level who train these teachers to be socialists. I think it was laughable to see it, but also sad to see people going up to a long-standing senator, albeit on the left, but still a senator, and acting like that they're supposed to follow, that they want them to follow. They want a senator to follow a bunch of kids who don't know what they're talking about. And the teacher's just as stupid as the kids. I think it's laughable, it's a shame, and that's why Americans have to go out and run for school board and start replacing some of these administrators with people who are American and who believe in our educational system, not an indoctrination system.
You know, Doctor, you've always been so straightforward on this program, as I said earlier, and gave me your honest appraisal of something. And for the last couple of weeks, and it's hard for me to talk about this subject because I'm very emotional about it, but the Democrats advocating the abortion of babies at birth. Basically, I'm going to call it what I think it is, infanticide or murder, simply put. And nobody really seemed to confront them. And I just wonder why. Have we become, as a society, that despicable, that low, that we would think and consider infanticide?
Well, I think it's criminal. I think if a baby is attempted to be aborted and the baby lives, or actually any baby that's young and about to be born, I put them in the same category. Let's face it, all men are created equal. Every baby is a person, and we should take good care of them. We shouldn't abort them because they're inconvenient for somebody. All I can tell you is I think that is a moral issue, and I think socialism, which is based in atheism, anti-government, it's anti-free government, it's anti-church, it's anti-morality. They want to have their own morality and do whatever they please. I think it's terrible. I think we have to fight it. I think it's a cancer of ideology, and I think everywhere it's been tried, it's been a total failure, and people have died. And I think in terms of the American people, most American people are really turned off on infanticide, which is exactly what it is, what you called it out to be. And I think the Republicans are weak-kneed a lot of times, and that's why the voters are getting rid of establishment Republicans. That's why we lost the House, because it's establishment Republicans that lost their seats. 49 of them lost their seats. And I'll tell you what, it's going to change. And people who put their foot down, who stand up, who have a spine, they're the ones who are going to win in the future, because the American people respond to leaders that believe in morality. And they are fed up with Republicans who don't act like they believe what they really are supposed to believe.
Absolutely.
And they're being replaced by conservatives.
Absolutely. Dr. Lamero, this issue of collusion with President Trump, with the Russians versus the Russians, whatever status you want to label, has been kind of debunked thanks to the so-called Attorney Cohen on the witness stand at the Senate hearings. And the Democrats seem to have their ladder kind of collapse and all the rungs of the ladder fold together. But now they say, oh, no, there's more proof. There's more evidence. And you've got Jerry Nadler from New Jersey, and you've got the Adam Schiffs that never are going to let this issue die. They're going to keep attacking and nitpicking and going after everything they can for at least the next 2 years against Donald Trump. What are your thoughts?
Well, it's very simple. Their idea is they don't like him. He's conservative. He's against everything they're for. He doesn't want socialism. They're mad at that. So they're going to attack. They're going to try to investigate everything they can investigate. And so far, everything they investigated comes up with nothing. And I think in the next 2 years, they're going to find nothing, too. They're just wasting their time trying to get a lot of negative headlines against Trump to turn the American people against Trump. And yet his popularity rating is the highest it's ever been. People like him because he keeps his promises. He's tough. He's conservative. They like him. He doesn't get pushed around by the North Koreans. He doesn't get pushed around by the Chinese. Looks like the Chinese are caving in now, and they're going to give him and America what we want, a fair deal. So I think they're just going to keep doing it. I think they're going to keep looking stupid. They're going to look like exactly what they are. Somebody that lost an election but can't give it up and can't be fair. They've just got an axe to grind because they want socialism.
One other issue I wanted to ask you about this morning in the time remaining is, of course, involving a big subject right now. I'm adamantly opposed to illegal aliens coming into this country. I'm adamantly in favor of limiting the amount of people coming in on a refugee status and or anyone else trying to come into this country. I think our infrastructure and everything else and also our taxpayer dollars are being pushed to the limits. What are your thoughts about President Trump with the declaration of emergency on the border if he goes through with it? Are you in favor of it or against it?
Absolutely in favor of it. We have so many things going wrong at the border. We have drugs coming through, big amounts of drugs coming through that we have to keep stopping, interdicting. We have diseases that we have no known history with in the United States. I've written about them, some terrible viruses. We don't want those kind of diseases to come through. At the very least, everybody who wants to come in the U.S. should be tested to see if they're healthy. That's the minimum. And I think that it's absolutely an emergency. I think the only reason the Democrats fight Trump on this is it's simple. They think that if they get millions of people who don't speak English, they'll get them to vote for Democrats because they're thinking they're getting a free lunch. And they're going to get a lot of free benefits. So they think it's the future of the Democratic Party or the future of the Socialist Party, which would be a better name for them because they're no longer the old Democrats like John F. Kennedy. They're no longer the Democrats of Harry Truman. These people are just outright socialists. Let's call a spade a spade. So I'm in favor of it. I think it's good. I think Trump is going to win in the courts. He's going to win in the House and Senate. And in 2020, I think we're going to have a conservative House because I think we're going to throw out a whole lot of socialists, especially with AOC, explaining to everybody what she wants, which is lunacy.
One of the issues that goes along with the lax immigration program in this country, you mentioned it a moment ago and you highlighted it a moment ago, were the diseases coming into this country. I am very much in favor of forced immunizations, and I mean that. I am a polio victim. I saw and have felt for all my life the devastating effects of polio, and the Salk vaccine sought to eliminate that, and it did. Now we are seeing a resurgence of measles, whooping cough, and yes, another form of polio coming into this country because of a laxity on vaccinations. Your thoughts? How do we make it tougher?
Well, I think we have to do what's reasonable. I think we should educate people. There are some vaccines people are worried about, certain flu strains and that. It's understandable that people are concerned, but overall, we know that people that are vaccinated have less diseases. And people who come into this country unvaccinated, I'm worried about some of the diseases we don't even have a history with. The pain fever virus, I don't remember its technical name, but there's some terrible diseases in the rest of the world. We don't want them to get in here. And we're seeing strange things happening, like one congressman, a Democrat of all people, complaining, I guess in his district at one of the ICE facilities, they've got a bunch of strange diseases getting in. He's complaining, why are there diseases? Guess what? It's because of this immigration thing allowing people to come in who aren't tested.
Absolutely. I would be amiss if I didn't ask now any new books that have been finished and that we need to highlight this morning while you're on the program with me this morning.
No, in progress, yes. I actually have 3 books in progress. I don't know, maybe I should have just done one at a time. But I thought they were all important. And so I've got 3 books in process. I hope the next one will be out in the summer. They take a long time. I'll tell you, articles are nice, short and sweet, but books take a whole lot longer. And if you want to do them right and you want to research them right, and I don't want anything to go out the door with my name on it unless it's just right. So it takes a while. So just look this summer.
Well, I'm going to say, folks, if you have not had a copy in your hands of Great News for America or More Great News for America, written by Gerard Lamero, you are missing something. He has a very optimistic, positive approach about what America can be and should be and is. I thank you for sharing time on our program again. God bless you, my dear friend. Come back soon.
God bless you and all your wonderful listeners.
All right, thank you, Dr. Gerard Lamero, and it's always a treat to have him on our program. Thank you very, very much. Holy cow, I've got to get the weather forecast in here, and the weather is brought to you by Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. I want to stop right here, and I want to make sure that you're aware that they have been providing accounting services to the Mini-Cassia area for well over 50 years. I mean, hey, the best in tax return preparation for you, your family, and your business. Tax planning, business consulting. Maybe you're trying to expand. Maybe you're going to hire more employees, whatever. Bookkeeping services, retirement planning, all of this and more by very knowledgeable professionals. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this first Monday in March, and today is going to be a nice day. We are expecting sunny skies, slightly breezy winds out of the east-northeast at about 8 miles an hour, and we're looking at a high of 37. Tonight, partly cloudy, low of 21. Tomorrow, partly to mostly sunny skies, expecting a high of 45. Clouds rolling in for tomorrow night. We do have a 50% chance of rain and or snow showers, expecting a low of 33. By Wednesday, looks like rain showers are definitely in the forecast, about a 60% chance, expecting a high of 48 and a slight breeze out there. For Thursday, 30% chance of rain showers, mostly cloudy and a high of 31. By Friday, maybe some snow in the forecast and definitely some rain, expecting a high of 45. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
I'll tell you what, Gina, appreciate it. She does a very, very good job putting our weather together for us every day. Thank you, and don't forget that you need to talk to the professionals. Whether you're starting a business, a partnership, or a corporation, or whether you're, like I said earlier, wanting to expand and maybe hire more employees, all of these things they can help you with. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Again, locations in Burley and Rupert. Get a hold of them today. They are the best at providing accounting services to you. Phillips Oaks, Goodwin, Crane, and Company. Holy cow. We've, yesterday, they had the richest rodeo in the country, and that's the $2.5 million American, put on and sponsored by RFD TV, and it was outstanding. And some of these guys, I know a lot of the guys that were up for the possibility of winning $1 million and have rodeoed with them and know them, and as old as I'm getting, a lot of their dads before them, and it was just a fantastic rodeo, thinking that the winners going out of there with $100,000 per event, and also the opportunity to win $1 million. And there were 3 that split the $1 million check yesterday. Bull rider and 2 team ropers. And with all their winnings, they went out of there with roughly about $450,000 apiece. Woo! Not too bad. Not too bad at all for 2 days doing their thing that they love more than ever. And more than anything else, the sport of rodeo. Wow, it's come a long way. Let me tell you, it's come a long way. Let's not forget our friends at Cameron and Siemens Insurance. Life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, all of this, and they'll sit down and help you with. Absolutely, they are dedicated and responsive to your needs, and they urge you to call and make an appointment. What is the number to call? Well, I will tell you, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. You be sure and give them a call today. I've got time for a caller to give me a jingle, please. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Record cold. By the way, I want to send this out to all of you that believe in, first and foremost, global warming / now climate change. Record cold has swept into not only the Midwest, but also here in the state of Idaho. Record cold temps and snow and accumulations. And now they're calling for, like in Iowa this morning, the high today may be 24 below. And which leads me to say again, do you want the Democrats, especially the likes of Cortez and Durbin and Pelosi and Kamala Harris, etc., do you want them to provide their hands on the thermostat? I don't think so. When it comes to climate change, they're not God, even though they're trying to imitate and be like God. They're not. And they have no right at all, ever, to try to assimilate their party and their partisan politics with keeping their hand on control and regulation of our climate. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. Marty Mickelson.
Yeah, hi, Marty. Real quick, I've got 2 minutes left before the news. Go ahead.
Super early.
Go ahead, Marty, quickly.
Are you catching anything? Oh, okay. Hey, just a lot of things you touched on this morning that really kind of hit my hot button. The latest one, global warming. I was in Maine a couple weeks ago, drove out, did David's delivery. This cold spell is nationwide. It's not just Idaho and North Dakota. It's coast to coast.
That's right.
Our political problem is we have a bunch of Republicans that don't have enough backbone to stand up to the Democrats.
That's right.
That's what that really gets to me too. Is that and we've got a Utah senator that's you've got to be a Republican to win in Utah, but. And I like Romney, but he has no backbone. I didn't vote for him, and I wouldn't again, or ever. But, that's another spot. I'm headed to California in the morning, and there's sanctuary cities down there that I think you put your money where your mouth is, and I will not go to San Francisco. I won't do business there. I just stay out of those places.
Marty, I hate to interrupt you. My dear friend, but I got to get to the news from CBS. But I want to say this. Please call me when you have a little bit more time. We can discuss a time that I can just have devoted just to you and your politics and your beliefs, because you're right on track with me, and I'd love to hear more from you. Take care and drive carefully, my friend, but call me and we'll set up a time.
All right, sounds awesome.
All right, God bless. Marty Mickelson calling from Logan, Utah, and I know he listens extensively, and we appreciate his involvement. Hauls cattle professionally, real premier registered cattle all over the country, and he's a good friend, very good friend. We're going to run to the news, be back in about 7 minutes. Don't go away. Okie dokie. Good morning. I see blue sky outside. Man, that looks good, promising, even though the weather forecast a little bit unsettled for the rest of the week with more moisture, but we'll see. Good morning. Zeb at the Ranch. I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a great big spring tire sale. And don't forget advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Hey, by the way, are you going to be getting a tax refund? Well, how about treating yourself to a little bit of luxury for your home? Go to Patterson's, 421 East Main in Burley. They've got all the home theater systems. You can sit back with your popcorn, pop it at your will, sit there in your lazy boy and enjoy. Home theater system from Patterson's. They've got all your your electronic needs. They've got everything, video surveillance cameras. They've got complete sound systems. They've got all the TVs, Samsung, Sony, Toshiba, etc. All of this and more located at 421 East Main in Burley. Patterson's. They're open Monday through Saturday, 9 to 6, and they urge you to come on in. Patterson's in Burley. Thank you very much. Right now, we're going to go to the phone line, and a gentleman that is very highly regarded by me on this program as being straight shooter, and he's a political analyst, and I wish I had more time than just about 21 minutes to have him on the air. That doesn't do justice to all the things he can share with us, and we're going to say good morning to the master storyteller and author of the Brotherhood of the Red Nile trilogy. Good morning, Dan Perkins. How are you?
I'm fine, Ted. How are you?
I'm really good, and I was anxious to have you back on the program, and I'm going to just start with kind of a laundry list of various things I wanted you to comment on because you know what's going on. Number one, second North Korean summit with Kim Jong-un. President Trump got up and walked away because the deal wasn't a good deal for the United States. Pick it up from there and tell us what you think is going to happen.
Well, I think that him walking away was the right thing for him to do from this standpoint. I think we have to trust Donald Trump and his advisors that were in the room in the discussions, and when the North Koreans decided they were going to change the deal, Donald Trump had two choices. He could have played the role that other previous presidents have played, make a concession to try and get a promise that they would change, and they never did. And so he chose not to do that. He chose to say, okay, if it's not a good deal for the country, I'm not going to make the deal, so I'm going to get up and walk out. And the Democrats, Nancy Pelosi was, quick to criticize him, although she never criticized Barack Obama and his conduct with Kim. But setting that aside, I trust the president, and if the president says it's not a good deal for America, I would not want him to do the deal. Period. And I think what will happen is it is a typical tactic, Zeb, in his father and his grandfather when dealing with the West. Make promises and break the promises. And Donald Trump went into this fully aware of that was the tactics. And I'm sure when he went into the first meeting, he was expecting the same kind of situation. Well, make a promise, but don't rely on it, and then try and bargain for money to solve the problem, which is the way our previous presidents have handled the relationship with North Korea. Donald Trump said no. So he just basically got up and walked out. And it's not without precedent. Ronald Reagan did it in the summit with Gorbachev. Mm-hmm. He got up and walked out. It sends, in my opinion, forget what the Democrats say, sends a very clear message to North Korea, don't mess with me.
Yeah. Dan, what were your thoughts, and I really want to hear this answer, in regards to the timing of the summit versus the timing of the hearings of Attorney Cohen, the Democrats? All of this just lended to me a thought that the Democrats are going to do anything. They're going to get down and crawl through any rat hole to hurt Donald Trump and this administration, even at the risk of deteriorating the summit with North Korea and America. What are your thoughts?
I think that's a very keen observation on your standpoint. I really genuinely believe that the North Koreans were somewhat duped by the Democrats. The Democrats clearly wanted to do anything they could to try and scuttle the summit because bottom line is they want no success with Donald Trump. Now they've got a problem now because the news out of Washington this morning is that it appears that there might be a very significant trade deal with China by the end of the month. Now, if that happens, and I hope that it does, it will be a huge, huge victory for Mr. Trump and for the country and for American business. But understand that the issue with the Democrats is they do not want to give him or minimize the number of victories that he has and he will get that will allow him to campaign in 2020 and use it against them.
When you say that, I've got to stop right there, and I've got to talk to you about New Jersey's Jerry Nadler, or California's Adam Schiff, or any one of the Democrats that absolutely are hell-bent to isolate all the Democrats into voting no for anything that might be a bipartisan issue, and absolutely demand that everybody follow Nadler and Schiff into more investigations over and above the Mueller investigation. This thing is getting bigger and wider, and I don't see how anybody is going to serve their constituents when they're going out in a hate movement against Donald Trump.
Well, that's another good observation on your standpoint. A lot of people are going to say, "Oh, I remember that," when I say what I'm about to say. 2 years ago, in the 115th, 114th Congress, Nadler, who'd been around for a while, was not on the committee that he's serving on now. He was appointed to that committee as the ranking member, and I believe for the very specific purpose is that should the Democrats gain control of the House in 2018, he would be the chairman of the, in essence, the impeachment committee, the committee that would decide on whether they're going to impeach the president. So he was positioned 2 years ago in the previous Congress to be in that position by the Democrats in the event that there was a change in the leadership and control of the House. But I think that what's going on is that if you listen to what he said over the weekend, he's already discounting the Mueller report, which means to me that not that he's necessarily seen anything as much as he understands that all the report that the House did before under Republican control, that there isn't anything that Mueller has. So because Mueller doesn't have anything, the Democrats have to go after Trump in a different way. Now, we heard this morning and yesterday on the news show that there are 60 individuals that are identified that this committee wants to have information on the business dealings. Now, one of the issues is, did he in fact create a situation when he fired James Comey that he did so illegally, therefore he's committed a crime. Now, I wrote a piece probably 4 weeks ago, commentary, on this very issue, and cited chapter and verse of where the President of the United States has the power under the federal statutes passed by the Congress to replace any cabinet officer, and including the director of the FBI, at their discretion. They don't need congressional approval. Mm-hmm. So this is not collusion. This is not any other crime of the president. And I said in the article, which, again, none of the Democrats are saying, the removal of Comey, and I had a guy on a radio show tell me a week or so ago when I pointed this out, he says, nobody's ever pointed this out. It's a great idea. If you understand the process, James Comey was recommended to be fired by a Democrat-appointed Assistant Attorney General and supported by a Republican Attorney General. So it was a bipartisan effort to decide that he should be fired. And so when Rosenstein sent a note to the president that he should be terminated, first of all, the president was within his constitutional rights as the executive to do that. And number two, the recommendation was bipartisan because it came from a Democratic operative, and a Republican Attorney General. So it was a bipartisan recommendation. And so the idea that he's broke some kind of law because he fired Comey, they're ignoring the federal statutes and the bipartisan nature of how he was terminated.
You know, I sit here and I listen to you and others on my program, and we talk about the mess that we're in, and whether it goes back to the firing of Comey or whether it had anything to do with Russian collusion, etc. But I would like someone, and I've invited Democrats to come on my program, and I'm going to be very blunt, Dan. None of them have had the guts to respond and say, yeah, we'll take some time to come on and discuss a Democratic platform that they are going to use for possible election in 2020. I'll ask you the same thing. What is their platform other than a four-letter word, hate?
Well, that's interesting because I just finished a commentary yesterday. I don't know where it's going to land out of all the 15 that I write for, but it'll be out soon. I took a look at the election of AOC, and I did some things that I've not been able to find anybody else in the media has done. And I took a look at her election and the impact of her election, because she's the one that's now created the Green New Deal, which she wants to be the basis of what the Democratic Party is going to run on in 2020, and that's going to be their policy other than hate. First of all, there are 27 districts for the state of New York. Her election, in the total amount of votes that she got, she was 26 out of 27. She has approximately 375,000 registered Democrats in her district, and she won the primary with a total vote count, not a margin, total vote count of 15,000 votes. Then I looked at her ranking out of the 27 districts. Where did she finish in terms of the largest percentage of victory over the opponent? Out of 27, she came in 16th. So she doesn't have a great set of numbers of a lot of things going in her favor. Former director of Greenpeace came out this morning and called her an idiot on her Green New Deal. And so the absurdity of what she's doing is representational of the direction of the left. I said in the article is that the Democratic Party has moved so far to the left, they're out in the ocean somewhere. They're no longer on the 48 contiguous states. And so I don't think that we've got over 100 congressmen who have signed on this new Green Deal. And I think the vast majority of them have no clue what they're doing. They're just doing it for publicity. That's the only thing that they've demonstrated in terms of that and tax policy of what they want to do. And they want to tax the rich. The Democrats want to take, now for the first time in the history of the country, they want to tax the value of your assets, and they want to take the marginal tax rates as high as 72, not counting state and local taxes. And what's interesting about it all is they're not bashful about it. They're saying we want it. We want a 72% tax rate, and their expectation is that the American people will say, "Well, we'll vote for that." I don't think they understand the train wreck that they're leading themselves into. And with the New Deal, $93 trillion. How are we going to get a train to Europe? How are we going to get a train to Hawaii? The idea of rebuilding every structure in the United States to make it more energy efficient. I mean, these are ludicrous ideas that would cost trillions and trillions of dollars. We'd have to go probably close to 4 to 5 times in debt of what we are now, not knowing whether it'll work or not. We have no idea how many millions of jobs will be lost. There's no substance behind this rhetoric of ideas. And as we get closer to the election in 2020, I'm hopeful that the Republicans will step up and call them out and use their own words against them.
Absolutely. Dan, we have a caller with a question, and caller, I'm going to ask you to go quickly. You're on the air, please.
Well, they are losing so badly that they're so desperate to get any attention whatsoever that they will say anything. And, I don't know if it's because they're such narcissists or they just figure this is a real good plan, which it doesn't seem like it is. So the Democratic strategy is a loser. And, when we saw what happened, the polls, when Governor Northam from Virginia, the way he described what they had done to a baby after it was birthed, pro-life grew. And when Trump stands his ground on the wall, his approval rating goes up. Nothing they do works. And anybody with any brains at all can see that Ocasio-Cortez is a moron. And you hope that there's not too many morons out in the public who listen to this. But they're desperate beyond belief, and Nadler he's as full of BS as there is, but they have no other choice. They're out of bullets. They're just throwing rocks. I'll hang up.
Respond to the caller, please, Dan.
Well, I think it's a keen observation. I also have a piece that's out in circulation at the moment for consideration. I believe it, and I think I'm ahead of the curve, but I'm not too far ahead of the curve. I believe, if not the major issue, one of the major issues that we will fight for and face with the Democrats in the presidential election of 2020 will be abortion. And I think what's happened is the Democrats and the pro-life people got it all wrong. The reaction to what happened in New York, that we've created a new moniker called post-birth abortion, which is another word for murder. And the idea that that's what we stand for as a nation, I think the reaction that I'm seeing in the polling data is that America is absolutely opposed to infanticide, which really should be called murder, because you have a child. And and the 2,000-pound elephant that's sitting in the room is, in order to change what's going on, we are going to have to take on the women's movement in this country. Mm-hmm. And I think women are going to help us, because I think that there are two articles that I would encourage your audience to read at Flash Daily, written by me. One was called Meet the New Margaret Sangers, and the second one, which is whimsical in title but very serious, and that is Lipstick on a Pig makes it still a pig. And so I think this is going to be a bigger political issue than most people think about right now. I think it's like Obama's red line in the sand with Syria. He took a stand, and when he moved the red line, he lost a lot of credibility. I think that we have now seen that the left is interested in killing, outright killing, and they're telling us, well, it's not a big deal. It's only about 1.3% of all the abortions that are performed, and that's about 12,000 or 1,000 babies a month that are being killed in third trimester abortions, where the baby has viability. I think this is going to grow into a much bigger unifying issue for the Republican Party and a detrimental issue for the Democrats. And the Democrats who are running for presidential nomination in the Senate voted in favor of last week to allow our abortionists to be able to commit these murders with no criminal penalties if they don't protect the baby. And so we have basically got now evidence that we can use in our campaign to show the American people that the Democratic Party and the candidates running for president stand in favor of killing children after they're born.
And real quick, Dan, I'm going to throw this in. I've only got a minute left, but basically the entire Democratic Party in favor of a hemlock society, not only with abortions on the babies, but also a destruction of quality of life or value of life for our senior citizens. It's almost like the utopian Germanistic attitude with Hitler. They're going to pick and choose who really is going to run the country.
Yes, yeah. The government's going to make the decisions, and this is clearly what the socialist agenda of Cortez and others has, and Bernie. They want the government to make our decisions, that we are not intellectually capable of making the decisions for ourselves. We have to have the government make the decisions for us.
Absolutely. I wished I had more time. I really enjoy having you on the program. Any new books or anything else we need to talk about quickly? I've got 30 seconds left.
No, I'm working on my first historical fiction. It's coming slowly, but because I had to do so many interviews and write so many blogs. But thank you so much.
Well,
it's always a pleasure to be with you, and invite me back again. I'd love to talk to you again.
I will. Dan Perkins, political analyst and master storyteller with the Brotherhood of the Red Nile. I got to say that again so he doesn't get mad at me. The Brotherhood of the Red Nile trilogy. God bless you, Dan. Come back soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
All right, sir. I really enjoy that man and his viewpoint coming on our program. Dan Perkins, thank you for being on the show. Right now, I want to remind everybody that on Thursday, we have a special segment called Cassia County School Days, and it's sponsored by A Child's World at 1308 Overland in Burley. They've got all kinds of different gifts down there. I mean, like, if you're buying for the wee ones, they've got all the games, the toys, and the puzzles, and they've got all the clothing for the children, and they've got, of course, all the furniture, and they've got clothing for you and I. Everybody down there. It's a family store at 1308 Overland in Burley. And don't forget the gift wrap free, and they've also got the Cherokee scrubs. Remember those? Very, very comfortable. Child's World, 1308 Overland in Burley, bringing you on Thursdays at 10:10 Cassia County School Days. We are going to take a little break, send it back over to Wheels, and then we're going to come back with the Idaho legislative update. Today, Representative Fred Wood's going to be on the program. Don't go away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
I have been very, very happy and proud to bring on my program the Idaho Legislative Update for 2019, and I'm very proud and thankful of our sponsor, Handy Truck Lines, at 400 West, 100 South of Paul, Clay, and the whole family. I thank you so much for helping get all the legislative information to the public on my program. And of course, Handy Truck Lines providing transportation services to Idaho and all the surrounding states and celebrating over 90 years in business. They are true patriots, and just to read some of the thoughts that they'd like to espouse on this program: peace above all things is to be desired, but blood must sometimes be spilled to obtain it on equitable and lasting terms. And that was said by former great President Andrew Jackson. And right now, a great legislator that's been on our program many, many times to discuss what's going on at the update for the legislature, Representative Fred Woods. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you this morning?
I am great. We had a conversation, to be very open and honest, earlier this morning prior to the program to discuss some of the things we're going to talk about on the show today. And at the end of our conversation, you said, if you can think of anything else you'd like to ask me about, feel free to do so. So I'm going to say, please allocate me some time, because I do have an issue that is absolutely frustrating to me that I want you to talk about. So that being said, let's start things off this morning with talking about the budget. Are all things set and ready with the budget?
Well, this is where we are in the budget setting process. JFAC normally takes 3 weeks to set the budget. We have completed 2 weeks. They're on the Monday of the third week, and they will wrap up budget setting this Friday. All of the big budgets have been set. Monday, the very first day of budget setting 2 weeks ago, they set the K through 12 budget, which takes about pretty close to 50% of the state general fund. That was set, and I haven't seen that bill come out yet. That's a very long bill. Takes a couple of weeks to get it right, but that will come out. Also, higher education, I believe, has been set. Medicaid was set about, Wednesday of last week, and that is the largest budget of all of the budgets if you account for the federal dollars associated with it, but it is a much smaller budget than education if you take just the state general fund. Higher education, of course, is higher than that. But most of the budget has been set. It has gone very smoothly, and I think we're on course, at least for just the budget, of getting out of here on time. The only concern of the budget at this point in time is that, as you well know, Zeb, we have missed revenue projections every single month since July. Mm-hmm. Now, most people feel that that is strictly a withholding issue, and the tax commission keeps telling us that it's nothing but a withholding issue, and that by the end of the fiscal year, particularly in May and June, those monies will be coming in significantly larger amounts than they would traditionally during those months. So that's the status of the budget at this point in time.
Well, let me ask you a question right there, Fred. They say the money will be coming in. It's almost like the old adage, well, your check is in the mail. What happens if it doesn't? I mean, do we have enough money in a rainy day slush fund and savings that we can still make the commitments, or what do you do if the money doesn't come in?
Well, the tax commission has done several analyses of people who have already filed the reports, etc., that they are more confident each month that the money will be there. But that's an excellent question, Zeb, because you know me, I've never operated on, what happens in the future if we get this much money. I'm one of those guys that if I don't see the money in the bank, I'm not interested in talking to you because we can't spend it. What would happen there is, one, the state would go into immediate holdbacks, which the governor could order, and he would probably order it even before the new fiscal year. And number two, yes, we do have that. And three, if it turned out to be just a major crunch, we'd go back and into special session and redo the budget. So those are the safeguards against missing that mark by much.
When you figure a budget, and you and I have talked about this many, many times, and I hate to bring it up again, but I think people have asked me, and I'm going to ask you again. When you figure a budget for Medicaid expansion, and you really don't have a cap on the numbers and people involved, how do you figure a budget that's going to be amenable to the state budget that you turn in?
Well, in this case, Zeb, it is interesting for this reason. First of all, we have been spending, if you gather up all of the money that we have been spending on the indigent population and the gap population, we've been spending about $67 million a year. All of that but $20 million is state funds. $20 million of that is the county indigency program. So we've been spending $67 million, and we have only been treating somewhere in the area of about 8,000 people, give or take, depending on the year. And it's episodic, high-cost care for which the citizens aren't getting a whole lot of money. Now, what happens when you expand Medicaid is, and the best analysis we have is that 91,000 people are going to show up, and those 91,000 people are going to cost us, in FY 2021, which is the first full year, will cost us $412 million, of which the state is responsible for 10% of that, so $41 million. So you can see right there that we have a major cushion in case a bunch of other people showed up, because to expand Medicaid in terms of state and county dollar spending is going to be only about 2/3 of what we're currently spending at this point in time. How that is done is Milliman, who is the contract actuary for the state, now that we've got 6 years into this process, went around and studied several other states, of which Milliman also does actuarial work for. I think Milliman does actuarial work for roughly 20 states out of the 50 states in the United States. So they have all that databases for Medicaid that they can compare to. So I think that 91,000 is going to be a pretty good number. I think you can kind of hang your hat on that. So I think we're in excellent shape, because we're actually spending more money now than we're going to spend on that. Secondly, we just introduced a bill today. If you remember correctly, Zeb, I was on your program in the run-up to both the primary election and the general election, talking about Prop 2 and what the state was going to do to safeguard against budget overruns. Now, the federal law says that you can't cap the people that go into it and you can't cap the expenditures on it. But there are a bunch of things that you actually can do. So we, in Health and Welfare Committee this morning, we introduced the so-called sideboard bill. And I'll just run through with you real quickly about what that entails. First of all, we put a provision in there to where we're going to screen and refer people who are using tobacco, alcohol, etc., to try to get them off of those substances and any drug use. We're also, at this point in time, traditional Medicaid, when you sign up for traditional Medicaid, if you have medical bills before you actually sign up, you can go back 90 days and get those paid for. We're reducing that down to 30 days. So you don't have 90 days. You only got 30 days now. And there's some expected savings from that for the state. The next thing we're doing is we're requesting a waiver from the federal government so that those people between 100 and 138% of the federal poverty level that would traditionally not be eligible for subsidies once you expand Medicaid, we're asking for a waiver from the federal government to allow people to stay on that program if they wish to do that, and have the federal government pick up the same subsidies that they're picking up now, not the state of Idaho. Next, we're putting mandatory work requirements on it, such that it'll mirror the SNAP benefits that we have for the food stamp program at this point in time. So if you're just a deadbeat, then you're not going to go on Medicaid. But if you are working and you have dependents and all of those kinds of things, then you're fine. But we've crafted it so that the pure deadbeats are not going to be there.
Absolutely.
Next, we're going to pick up an IMD waiver so that people with pure mental illness can be treated in freestanding psychiatric institutions. And then we've got the thing where if the Supreme Court overturns the Affordable Care Act, we're out of there. And the legislature is going to review this whole process in 2023. And if Congress amends it in any way that we don't like, we're out of there. So I think we've got some very significant safeguards in here. And I think we can prevent any runaway expenditures.
Fred, you mentioned to me this morning that you wanted to maybe mention about 2 hearings that are coming up on Friday. But again, I want to reiterate, I need some time to mention another subject I'd like you to elaborate on. So if you want to touch on the hearings, do it quickly, and I want to finish with one other topic.
Absolutely. So there's 2 big hearings on Friday, and they'll both be streamed on Idaho Public Television so the viewers can watch. The first is the Medicaid sideboard bill that we introduced this morning. We're going to hear that in a big room here in the Capitol that will be streamed live, so anybody in the state of Idaho or anywhere else for that matter can get on Idaho Public Television and watch that entire debate and committee process for the discussion of the sideboard bill on Medicaid. The other one is House Bill 203. That is a bill brought by Representative Christensen. Apparently it's been reviewed by the NRA. What that does is it'll be somewhat controversial because it allows people who have an enhanced carry permit to carry concealed weapons in schools, which is not controversial. The controversial part of it is even if you're a teacher, you don't have to notify the school district or the school superintendent or the school teachers or anybody else that you are doing that. So those are the two big hearings on Friday.
Okay.
And I imagine each of those will draw several hundred people, if not thousands, to the Capitol for those two hearings.
Absolutely. I'm going to follow both of those hearings, and hopefully we can have more conversation on that in the future. Now, thank you for allowing me some time to ask you about a subject that is near and dear to me, and it outrages me, Fred, that we are seeing, according to the paper this morning and stories that I've put on my program for the last few months, we are seeing a large number of parents that are opting out of vaccination programs that are subjecting you and I and everybody to injurious and deadly diseases because of non-vaccinated people in our school system and in our country in general. What can our legislature do to crack down more on non-vaccinations, especially in the students?
Well, I can tell you, Zeb, if you think abortion or guns or anything else, the Bible or anything else in Idaho is controversial, you ought to come to the Capitol when we're talking about immunization programs or vaccines. I'm here to tell you what, people get to frothing at the mouth around here like you cannot believe. I agree with you 110%, okay? Idaho, unfortunately, has one of the most liberal opt-out policies of vaccinations of any state in the United States. You don't have to have any reason to opt your kids out of getting vaccines. And I am just, I feel exactly the same way you do. We've got some counties in northern Idaho that the immunization rate is below 70% and headed towards 50%. And you've seen the big outbreak of measles in Washington and Oregon. I hope it doesn't get to eastern Washington and slip over into Idaho. This is a major problem, Zeb. And the legislature at some point in time is going to have to deal with it because we're headed for population that is no longer immunized. And think about what would happen if we literally got back some of the more dreaded diseases than measles, etc. Let's say polio or one of those, or Haemophilus influenza, meningitis came back. Etc. So I agree with you 110%. I mean, I am there. I don't think we ought to be able to opt out of mandatory immunizations except for medical purposes. Every once in a while, people will have a medical reaction to the egg product or whatever is in the vaccines. They need to be able to opt out, but not for personal reasons or religious reasons or philosophical reasons or any other reason. That's my opinion.
These people are endangering the rest of our society. We are seeing all sorts of things creep up. Measles, rubella, we're looking at hepatitis A and B, we're looking at whooping cough, all of this coming into our country because we don't know what these people are carrying or have as a sickness. I personally went through polio. There is nobody in this world that can tell me more about the hazards and dangers of polio and the lack of a vaccine. And so when I see various strains of polio already starting up in this country again, it scares me to death, Fred.
Well, and it should scare everybody to death, Seb. I can tell you that from 1900 until today, humans have increased their life expectancy 20 years. 5 years by vaccines, 5 years by clean water, 5 years by uncontaminated food, and all of the rest of the miracles of modern medicine and the hundreds of billions of dollars ever spent on medicine only bought us 5 years. Immunizations alone bought us as much as everything else in medicine. I think we're just being foolish, and I think it needs to stop.
Absolutely.
That's just me. I mean.
Absolutely, and I'm so glad I asked you about this morning. I have time for one quick call, and then I'm going to have to terminate this for this morning. Caller, quickly, and I mean quickly, go on the air.
Fred, I've asked this question before, but where is this country's Surgeon General at? We do not hear anything, a peep out of him in the past years gone by. Can you answer that?
Thank you, Earl. Go ahead, Fred, please.
The only thing I can say is that I have observed the exact same thing. He's been absent without leave and has not weighed in on this issue at all. And I think that's, I mean, I don't know what to call it, dereliction or duty or whatever, but this is a major problem. And the Surgeon General and others certainly ought to be out there pounding this issue hard.
Fred, may I ask you a favor? Earl, I've got to curtail this, and I appreciate your question because it means a lot to me, but I've got to wrap this thing up. Thank you. Fred, I want to ask you a favor. I want to do an in-depth study on this, the vaccination programs, and I want to do it after the legislative session. I guess I'm putting you on the spot on the air, but I'd like you to come to the studio and we put it on together some morning on some segment.
Zeb, I'd be happy to do that. Let's get together after the session. We'll figure out what we're going to do, and I'll be happy to come out for either a half hour or an hour, and we can sit and chat about it and try to inform all the listeners.
I hope so. Thank you, Representative Fred Wood, on our legislative update. God bless. Thank you for being on the program.
Thanks, Zeb.
All right, sir.
Talk to you later.
I want to say thank you again to Handy Truck Lines at 400 West, 100 South of Paul for being our sponsor of the 2019 legislative update today with Representative Fred Wood. Thank you very much to Handy Truck Lines. Over 90 years of serving businesses in all of the communities here in the Northwest. Thank you for your sponsorship of the legislative update. Handy Truck Lines. Earl, if you're listening, I apologize for jumping in on you and cutting you off. I did not mean to be rude, but I'm running out of time, my dear friend. I appreciate it. Right now, let's get to a weather forecast sponsored by our friends at Scarro's Meats. Don Scarrow and the crew at 331 North Road, Jerome. The number to call, 324-7657. Don't forget all the great meat. Oh, whether it's the bratwurst or whether it's the breakfast sausages, the bacons or the tri-tips or the pork ribs, it's all great and delicious from Scarro's Meats. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
Here's a look at your weather forecast for this first Monday in March, and today is going to be a nice day. We are expecting sunny skies, slightly breezy winds out of the east-northeast at about 8 miles an hour, and we're looking at a high of 37. Tonight, partly cloudy, low of 21. Tomorrow, partly to mostly sunny skies, expecting a high of 45. Clouds rolling in for tomorrow night. We do have a 50% chance of rain and or snow showers, expecting a low of 33. By Wednesday, looks like rain showers are definitely in the forecast, about a 60% chance, expecting a high of 48 and a slight breeze out there. For Thursday, 30% chance of rain showers, mostly cloudy and a high of 31. By Friday, maybe some snow in the forecast and definitely some rain, expecting a high of 45. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
And thank you very much, Gina, and brought to you by Don Scarrow and the crew at Scarrow's Meats. Absolutely delicious meats at Scarrow's Meats. You can check it out by going to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. 324-7657, the number to call. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Want to also give a great big shout out and thank you to our major sponsor, and that's, of course, our Magic Valley, Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations right now with a great big spring tire sale. They're thinking spring, and you can save a lot of money on tires for your car, pickup, and SUV. Yes, sirree, they've got the best of their tires on sale, like the Eclipse tire, the Ultra Z900, the Open Country HT, the Open Country AT2, all of these and more. And don't forget the best in brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts, batteries, all of this and so much more for your safe driving from all 7 locations of the Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family and Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and my buddy Randy on Overland in Burley. The best. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. I just want to say one more thing in regards to the opt-out numbers are getting bigger and bigger about people that are not vaccinating their children and letting the vaccination programs go asunder. I am not going to let this issue die. I'm going to stay on it, and I'm going to stay on our legislature, and I'm going to stay on getting them on the air. We have to tighten it up. This dropping out of immunization is threatening our entire society, and it's got to stop. We're going to be back here tomorrow morning at 8:06, and we'll ride the horse again for 3 hours, the way things were, the way things ought to be, and, of course, the world needs more cowboys. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06.